Castro's symbolic gesture. In 1960, Fidel Castro and his Cuban delegation refused to stand for the U.S. national anthem at the UN General Assembly, marking a strong rejection of American influence which deepened Cold War tensions. Taliban's recent actions. Afghan diplomats recently refused to stand for Pakistan's national anthem, justifying it by citing religious beliefs against music. This action took place at two important events and led to diplomatic tensions. Symbolic affront. Not standing for a national anthem is often viewed as a symbolic insult to the host country, as seen with the Taliban's gesture in Pakistan. Such acts can have broader implications for diplomatic relations. Afghanistan's national symbols. The Taliban replaced Afghanistan's national flag and anthem in 2021. However, the new symbols are not widely accepted, and many Afghans, particularly in sports, still use the pre-Taliban anthem. Wider global examples. Issues surrounding national anthems often reflect deeper political and ethnic divisions, as seen in countries like Kosovo and Israel-Palestine. Pakistan-Afghanistan relations. The strained relationship between Pakistan and the Taliban-led Afghanistan influenced Pakistan's strong reaction to the perceived disrespect of its national anthem. Crux. This article highlights how the refusal of Afghan diplomats to stand for Pakistan's national anthem mirrors a history of similar symbolic gestures in global diplomacy, such as Fidel Castro's defiance of the U.S. anthem. Such acts are often seen as an affront to national dignity and can reflect or even exacerbate political tensions. The Taliban's decision stems from religious reasons but also reflects Afghanistan's internal political struggles, especially in terms of national symbols. These gestures, although symbolic, often have significant diplomatic consequences, particularly when relations between the countries involved are already strained. Failed amendment attempt. A recent attempt by the government to pass a constitutional amendment failed due to a lack of two-thirds support in the National Assembly and Senate. The amendment aimed to reduce judicial independence, control judicial appointments, and authorize military trials for civilians. Judicial versus executive power struggle. Certain Supreme Court judges faced accusations of rewriting the Constitution while trying to correct the election manipulation, leading to clashes with the country's powerful establishment. Imran Khan's rise and fall. The writer's view on Imran Khan has shifted. Despite his authoritarianism and disregard for rights, Khan's mass support is being suppressed by tactics that surpass the wrongdoings of his own tenure. Divided power. The political divide in Pakistan is clear. On one side are some judges and Khan's popular party, while on the other is executive and the election commission. Uncertain future. Even if the amendment eventually passes, it's unclear whether it will bring political stability, an economic boom, or address deeper issues like terrorism, rule of law, and intolerance. Crux. The article discusses the recent failure to pass a constitutional amendment targeting the judiciary, reflecting a broader power struggle between the judiciary and the powerful establishment in Pakistan. The manipulation of last February's elections shows the extent of the establishment's control, and the writer believes that efforts to suppress political opponents like Imran Khan have reached a dangerous level. The future remains uncertain, as even with unchecked power, the entities responsible for Pakistan's current mess have historically failed to govern effectively. There's a sense of déjà vu, with Pakistan likely repeating past mistakes without learning from them. SCO overview. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization has grown from its inception in 1996 as the Shanghai Five to include key members like India, Pakistan, and Iran. It represents 80% of Eurasia, 40% of the world population, and a significant share of global GDP and resources. Western concerns. The SCO's push for a new democratic and fair political and economic world order and the use of national currencies in trade has stirred concerns in the West, which sees it as a strategic counter to Western influence, particularly by China and Russia. India's role. India, despite being a member, has shown reluctance towards SCO due to its perceived anti-Western orientation, which conflicts with Prime Minister Modi's pro-Western foreign policy. Bilateral conflicts. India's tense relations with China and Pakistan have hampered SCO's goals, such as regional connectivity and counter-terrorism, with India using the platform for point scoring against Pakistan. BRICS focus. Both China and Russia, along with India, are shifting their focus to BRICS, an expanded group that now includes major players from Africa and the Middle East, which is seen as having more global influence than the SCO. Pakistan's opportunity. Pakistan has a chance to revitalize the SCO by emphasizing closer economic cooperation, regional trade, connectivity, and youth engagement at the upcoming meeting it will host. Crux, simplified explanation. The upcoming SCO meeting in Pakistan highlights the organization's potential as a powerful regional bloc, but internal divisions, particularly India's reluctance to fully engage due to its pro-Western stance and conflicts with China and Pakistan, have hampered progress. While Western nations are wary of the SCO's growing influence, major members like China and Russia are increasingly focused on BRICS. For Pakistan, this meeting presents an opportunity to refocus the SCO's agenda on economic cooperation, trade, and regional connectivity, offering a chance to make the organization more impactful in Eurasia. Patriotism versus habit. The author challenges the assumption that acts like singing the national anthem or waving flags equate to patriotism. Habitual practices don't necessarily reflect genuine fervor or loyalty to the nation. Weaponization of patriotism. Patriotism has historically been used to exclude communities, create stereotypes, and maintain power in the hands of the elite, leading to division and hostility. Case of Afghan diplomats. The recent controversy where Afghan diplomats in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP, did not stand for Pakistan's national anthem highlights how quickly respect for differing beliefs can turn into hysteria. The diplomats' explanation, considering the anthem's music un-Islamic, was met with anger despite their respectful clarification. Media's role. The media often exacerbates divisions by taking sides. Headlines and sensational coverage fuel public outrage rather than encouraging understanding or acceptance of differing perspectives. Selective patriotism. Patriotism is sometimes wielded to police choices or actions. This can be problematic, as demonstrated by global examples like American footballers taking a knee to protest racism, which drew harsh reactions from leaders like Donald Trump. Uninformed patriotism. The article argues that being uninformed is inherently unpatriotic. Blind loyalty to a leader or cause based on propaganda or misinformation only harms the country, as it diverts attention from pressing issues like child mortality or civil liberties. Erosion of civil liberties. The slow erosion of civil liberties in Pakistan has left citizens with fewer avenues for protest or expression. Media partisanship further enables this erosion by supporting divisive narratives for survival. Patriotism as a tool of control. In its current form, patriotism is seen as anti-poor, racist, and totalitarian. True patriotism should thrive in a democratic setup where people can coexist peacefully, despite their differences, without being forced into displays of loyalty. Crux, simplified explanation. The piece criticizes the shallow understanding of patriotism, often equating habitual acts like singing anthems with loyalty. It highlights how patriotism has been used as a tool to control, exclude, and marginalize communities, leading to dangerous divisions. Recent events, such as Afghan diplomats not standing for Pakistan's anthem, show how easily differing beliefs are misunderstood and politicized. True patriotism should be rooted in knowledge and democracy, allowing differences to coexist peacefully, rather than being used as a tool for division or control. TTP as a regional threat. While the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, is primarily a threat to Pakistan, it has wider regional and global ambitions that cannot be ignored by the international community. TTP and Afghan support. Pakistan's UN ambassador Munir Akram emphasized the TTP's operations in Afghanistan, suggesting that the group receives support from the Afghan Taliban regime. This frustration is due to the Afghan Taliban's inability or unwillingness to curb cross-border terrorism. Global terror ties. The TTP's collaboration with al-Qaeda further extends its potential reach, making it a significant global security threat. The group could become a spearhead for broader terrorist activities. Domestic and international strategy. Pakistan must address the TTP threat both domestically and internationally. Domestically, it needs to prevent the group from gaining control of any territory or crossing the Afghan border unchecked. Internationally, there should be a coordinated effort, particularly with regional players like Iran, Russia, China, and the Central Asian states. Militancy in Afghanistan. The TTP is not the only terror outfit operating in Afghanistan. Other groups like Al-Qaeda, ISK, and Uyghur militants also maintain a presence, which complicates the security landscape. Some groups maintain cordial ties with the Afghan Taliban, while others, like ISK, are adversaries. Call for global attention. Pakistan warns that the international community should take the TTP threat seriously. Given Afghanistan's history as a hub for extremism, ignoring the growing presence of terror groups could have serious consequences. Crux, simplified explanation. The TTP, while mainly a threat to Pakistan, poses a broader regional and global security risk due to its ties with Al-Qaeda and its base in Afghanistan. Pakistan urges both domestic efforts to combat the TTP on its own soil and a coordinated international strategy involving regional players to address the growing militancy in Afghanistan. Ignoring the TTP's ambitions could lead to serious instability in the region. PTI's removal from National Assembly. Recently, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI) has been effectively erased from the National Assembly, with many of its lawmakers being reclassified under the Sunni Ittihad Council or as independents. This decision seems to be an attempt by the current regime to regain control of the lower house. Political manipulation. Despite this administrative move, PTI's position as a popular political entity remains intact among its millions of supporters. Political history shows that efforts to erase or suppress popular political parties tend to fail in the long run. Historical precedents. Previous attempts by the state to eliminate political parties like the Awami League, the National Awami Party, and the Pakistan People's Party, PPP, have proven unsuccessful. Despite being targeted, these parties eventually regained political relevance and shaped national politics. Proportional representation misuse. The government's efforts to regain a two-thirds majority through manipulation of proportional representation rules won't replace the mandate that PTI earned through voter support. Call for reflection. The government is urged to reconsider its approach, as removing PTI from the parliamentary record does not reflect the political reality or the will of the people. Crux. The recent removal of PTI lawmakers from the National Assembly appears to be an attempt by the current government to regain control. However, history shows that such efforts to suppress popular political parties rarely succeed. PTI remains widely supported by voters, and any manipulation of parliamentary rules won't change that. The government should reflect on its actions and reconsider its approach. Pakistan women's cricket team's recent performance. The Pakistan women's cricket team heads into the T20 World Cup without winning a series this year. Their latest 2-1 loss to South Africa in Multan highlighted both positive and concerning aspects of their performance. Positives from the series. Under captain Fatima Sana, Pakistan had moments of resilience, particularly in the second match, which they won by 13 runs after a strong performance from Fatima and Aliyah Riaz. Their unbroken 75-run partnership in the first game and Pakistan's overall batting improvement were encouraging signs. Fielding issues. Despite good batting efforts, fielding lapses cost Pakistan in the final game. A key moment came when South African batter Annery Dirksen was dropped on 7, leading her to guide South Africa to victory. Struggles this year. Pakistan has had a difficult year in T20 cricket, winning only 4 out of 15 matches, 2 of which were against weaker sides like UAE and Nepal. Their overall performance, including a loss in the Asia Cup semifinals to Sri Lanka, leaves room for improvement. Challenges ahead. Captain Fatima Sana acknowledged the team's challenge at the World Cup, where Pakistan has struggled historically, winning just 1 match in each of the last 3 editions. With upcoming warm-up games against Scotland and Bangladesh, the hope is to fine-tune their preparations before facing Sri Lanka on October 3rd. Crux, simplified explanation. The Pakistan women's cricket team is heading into the T20 World Cup without a series win this year. Despite recent struggles, there were positive signs during their series against South Africa, particularly in batting. However, fielding issues remain a concern. Pakistan faces a tough challenge in the World Cup, with hopes that warm-up matches will help the team improve before their opening game against Sri Lanka on October 3rd.